Sade Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Agrita Gadadhar Shri Basade Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sade Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Basade Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hari Bol Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol.
Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Hari Bol.
Hari Bol Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Hari Bol.
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Nitai Gaur.
Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Nitai Gaur. Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Nitai Gaur.
Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Nitai Gaur, Haribol, Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you very much, Isaac and your family. Maraming salamat sa inyo.
You're welcome, sir.
Jaya Krishna. Cleo
Jaya Jaya Krishna.
and Krishna Dasi, tsaka si Yoli. Anyway, welcome to our question and answer session. Ano pala? Bhagavad Gita pa pala to. Sorry. Advance na masyado ako. Tomorrow pa pala yung question and answer. So, Bhagavad Gita, class, welcome. And let's all pay our obeisances first. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, Shrimati Siddha Swarupananda, Paramahamsa iti namine. Bhaja Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavrindam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Thank you very much, Janner. Okay, so we are now going to continue our reading and discussion on Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga. Okay, so I believe Mr. Pravin would be the first reader. Go ahead, Mr. Pravin.
Haribol, can you hear me?
Yes, you have a perfect sound.
Yeah. Text 1. Chapter 3, text 1. Translation. Arjun said, O Janardhan, O Keshav, why do you urge me to engage in this ghastly warfare if you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work? Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, has very elaborately described the constitution of the soul in the previous chapter with a view to deliver his intimate friend Arjun from the ocean of material grief. And the path of realization has been recommended, Buddhi Yoga or Krishna consciousness. Sometimes Krishna consciousness is misunderstood to be inertia, and one with such a misunderstanding often draws to a secluded place to become fully Krishna conscious by chanting the holy name of Lord Krishna. But without being trained in the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, it is not advisable to chant the holy name of Krishna in a secluded place where one may acquire only cheap adoration from the innocent public. Arjun also thought of Krishna consciousness or a Buddhi Yoga or intelligence in spiritual advancement of knowledge as something like a retirement from active life and a practice of penance and austerity at a secluded place. In other words, he wanted to skillfully avoid the fighting by using Krishna consciousness as an excuse. But as a sincere student, he placed the matter before his master and questioned Krishna as to his best course of action. In answer, Lord Krishna elaborately explained Karma Yoga or work in Krishna consciousness in this third chapter. Haribo.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Pravin. So, most people really think that spiritual life is the negation of material activities. Many people think that one can advance in his spiritual life by going to the mountains or going to a secluded place, and you know, if you have received the holy names, perhaps you go there and just chant the holy names in that secluded place. So for many, they think that this is really the all and be all of everything. This is already um, the recommended process, no? But here in Karma Yoga, this is the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It is specified here by Krishna that action that is not meant to satisfy the Supreme Lord, that is the thing that we have to avoid, and not the action itself, because action in Krishna consciousness is devotional service. Action without Krishna consciousness is fruitive activity, and it will incur a person uh, karmic reactions if you uh, engage in activity for your own sensual pleasure. However, that same activity, if you do it for the pleasure of Gurudev and Krishna, yeah, in other words, you engage in devotional service by acting, by doing activities, by doing actions, yeah, but it is for Krishna, that is, you will not incur any sinful activity. And that is also known as karma yoga in Krishna consciousness, action in Krishna consciousness. So, action alone cannot be considered um, bad action. Yeah, for many so-called yogis and meditators, they try to avoid action, because they know that action will uh, come back to them in the way of karmic reactions. So they avoid doing action. But you can never avoid action, because you have a material body. Even if you're just alone in the forest, how are you going to eat? Aren't you going to get some fruits? Aren't you going to cook for your lunch or dinner or something? And that's action. Eating is action. The gathering of food is also action. So you cannot veer away from action. But this action, when this is done for the pleasure of Krishna, this is called karma yoga. So in our uh, uh, in our system, the Vaishnava system, we don't recommend inaction or inertia. Action is neither good nor bad. It only becomes transcendental. Action becomes transcendental when it is done for Krishna's pleasure. And when this action is done for one's sensual pleasure, then this is actually going to incur sins. No? So, yeah. This is the main purport of this particular verse. So let's continue. Um, By the way, the reason why Arjuna asked Krishna about this is because Krishna is telling him to fight. Yeah, and in fact, he argued. He argued actually, Arjuna in this Bhagavad Gita, there are there are there are times wherein he argues about the opposite way. For instance, he said, "Didn't you say, Krishna, that intelligence is actually better than or higher than action?" Like this, he doesn't know that Krishna is the supreme. He is the supreme um, controller. He is a supreme enjoyer. Yeah, he is uh, all knowledge. At this time, Arjuna did not know about karma yoga. He thinks that if you engage in activity, you're going to end up having karmic debts like this. And Krishna had to educate him. So, next reader tayo. Who wants to read?
Haribo, namaste. Can you hear me
Na-
po?
yes, Elinet. Go ahead, Elinet. You're very clear.
Thank you. Um, my intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be most beneficial for me. In the previous chapter, as a prelude to the Bhagavad Gita, many different paths were explained, such as Sankhya Yoga, Buddhi Yoga, control of the senses by intelligence, work without fruitive desire, and the position of the neophyte. This was all presented unsystematically. A more organized outline of the path would be necessary for action and understanding. Arjuna, therefore, wanted to clear up these apparently confusing matters so that any common man could accept them without misinterpretation. Although Krishna had no intention of confusing Arjuna by any jugglery of words, Arjuna could not follow the process of Krishna consciousness either by inertia or by active service. In other words, by his questions he is clearing the path of Krishna consciousness for all students who seriously wants to understand the mystery of the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you very much, Elinet. So, Krishna wanted Arjuna to ask these questions. Actually, Krishna um, arranged it so that his uh, devotee and the best friend Arjuna would come in would come into the illusory energy. Yeah, he arranged it para mawala siya dun sa being a great devotee of Krishna. So he was actually asking on behalf of all of us in the world, the conditioned souls. Yeah, uh, he is he got confused by Krishna's yoga maya. So he was actually um, undecided whether to just keep quiet, just go to a secluded place and just meditate there, yeah, or he would engage in activity, So he is actually undecided. Krishna, what am I gonna do? Parang the way I look at it, I am dumb if I do, and I am dumb if I don't. Ganon. Ganon ang situation ni Arjuna, and he wanted to clarify these doubts that he has in his mind. So, yan yon. And then, of course, Krishna would reply to him about uh, about karma yoga. Yeah, you still engage. In other words, we are not against action. The Vaishnavas are not against action. If you were here last night, we were talking about the Mayavadi philosophers. They are so afraid of engaging in activity because they know that for every action there is an equal and corresponding reaction. They know that there is karma in every action. So they try their best to veer away from action and just meditate like this. Um, so really, action, you cannot prevent action from happening. You cannot. It's not possible. Desire also, you cannot. Some people say, well, you when you become spiritually enlightened, you totally devoid yourself from desires. Wala ka ng desire. And the key is to remove all desires from your heart and from your mind, so that you can become pure. No, you cannot take off desire from the soul, because desire is an intrinsic quality of the soul. It is inherent. Hindi mo pwedeng tanggalin ang desire sa soul. You cannot. It is inherent in the soul. But you desire to serve Krishna. What should be avoided is the desire to engage in sensual pleasure. That is what is avoided. That must be avoided. But the desire to serve Krishna by means of your action, by means of getting flowers or cooking something delicious meal for Krishna, going to your altar and offering of this food and paraphernalias to Krishna. These are all actions, isn't it? But these are all meant to please Krishna. Therefore, it doesn't have any karmic reactions. Yeah, that is karma yoga in Krishna consciousness. Okay, so next reader tayo. Janner, would you like to read the next verse? Haribol.
Fireball, sir, yes po.
Ah,
Text 3, translation. The Blessed Lord said, O sinless Arjuna, I have already explained that there are two classes of men who realize the self. Some are inclined to understand him by empirical, philosophical speculation, and others are inclined to know him by devotional work. Purport. In the second chapter, verse 39, the Lord explained two kinds of procedures, namely Sankhya Yoga and Karma Yoga, or Buddhi Yoga. In the verse, the Lord explains the same more clearly. Sankhya Yoga, or the analytical study of the nature of spirit and matter, is the subject matter for persons who are inclined to speculate and understand things by experimental knowledge and philosophy. The other types of men work in Krishna consciousness as it is explained in the 61st verse of the second chapter. The principle of Buddhi Yoga or Krishna consciousness, one can be relieved from the bonds of action, and furthermore, there is no flaw in the process. The same principle is more clearly explained in the 61st verse that this Buddhi Yoga is to depend entirely on the Supreme, or more specifically on Krishna. And in this way, all the verses can be brought under control very easily. Therefore, both the yogas are interdependent as religion and philosophy. Religion without philosophy is sentiment and sometimes fanaticism, while philosophy without religion is mental speculation. The ultimate goal is Krishna, because the philosophers who are also sincerely searching after the absolute truth come in the end to Krishna consciousness. This is stated in the Bhagavad Gita. The whole process is to understand the real position of the self in relation to the super self. The indirect process is philosophical speculation by which, gradually, one may come to the point of Krishna consciousness. And the other process is to directly connecting with everything in Krishna consciousness. Of these two, the path of Krishna consciousness is better because it does not depend on the purifying of the senses by a philosophical process. Krishna consciousness is itself the purifying process, and by the direct method of devotional service, it is simultaneously easy and sublime. Harbal, sir.
Arbol, thank you very much, Janner. So, very clearly stated here by Krishna and by the purports of Srila Bhaktivedanta that basically there are two types of transcendentalists now. One is called the Sankhyaites or practicing Sankhya Yoga, no? The analytical study of matter and spirit. Yeah, they do this by their own mental speculation. So it's actually very difficult, but it is possible by by you know using your intelligence, using your mental capacity to understand the science of the soul, the science of the absolute truth, like this. Uh, that is one, okay, and it is Krishna here doesn't recommend us to do that. But there are some people who are inclined to do that. Let them do that. But actually, it is very difficult. Very difficult, especially in this day and age. Now, the second type of transcendentalists are called uh, uh, the devotees of Krishna. The devotees of Krishna, or Buddhi Yoga, or Krishna consciousness, is very, very practical because you don't try to understand the absolute truth by your own limited limited senses and your imperfect senses and your imperfect mind. It's not possible. Very difficult to do that. Instead, a person who is in Krishna consciousness simply develop his uh, relationship with Krishna in the way of devotional service. Yeah. In other words, he is totally dependent on Krishna. Krishna, I'm yours. I just want to serve you, Krishna. I don't want to be engaged in activity that is the center is going to be me. No, you are always the center, Krishna. And I just want to be your servant. You are the supreme enjoyer and the supreme controller. I am the controlled and I am your servant. And I'm here to serve you, Krishna. This is actually considered to be uh, uh, ultimately higher, no, than Sankhya Yoga, because you are not dependent upon your senses, your body, your mind, your intelligence. You are not dependent on that. Because what happens is that more often than not, a person who is engaged in mental speculation, yeah, gets confused. It's either he gets totally confused or he wants to learn more. And at the end of his search, he comes to Krishna consciousness. But since Krishna consciousness is already here, why do you have to wait till Krishna consciousness will manifest? Because by Samkhya Yoga, the end of this, if a person is really sincere, you come to the point after so many years that ang answer pala is Krishna consciousness. Doon mo palang malalaman yon sa dulo. When in fact, it is already here right now. You engage in devotional service, Buddha yoga or Krishna consciousness, and you will be perfect in your spiritual life. That's why there is a saying that religion without philosophy is fanaticism. Religion without philosophy. And philosophy without religion is mental speculation. Mental speculation. So you have got to establish your relationship with Krishna, and at the same time, you understand the teachings, the instructions of Krishna to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, and and right now we are very very fortunate to have a living spiritual master that's present on earth right now. So we can inquire things that we could not understand, or we are confused about things. Ano ba ito? Gagawin ko ba to? Or hindi ko gagawin? Ganyan, you become, and then after that, you become complacent because it is not answered. And you end up just engaged in mental speculation, or you just engage yourself in mental jugglery. Ganyan. No? So, the result, the process really is given to us by Krishna himself in the Bhagavad Gita. One has to engage himself in Buddha yoga or Krishna consciousness rather than Sankhya yoga. Because if you engage in Buddha yoga, if you engage in Krishna consciousness, you will have a direct link with Krishna. And because you have a direct link with Krishna in devotional service, what happens is that your mind becomes very, very clear. You don't need to separately try to understand the difference between matter and spirit like that. You don't need to try to search the ultimate goal of Sankhya Yoga. You don't need to do that. It becomes as a matter of course. It becomes natural. It becomes automatic if you become a devotee of Krishna. Okay? Next reader tayo. Cleo, would you like to read, Cleo?
Ano? Patay na. Here.
Arbol.
Haribol, namaste, Leo. Cleo. Is this Cleo or
Arbol,
Cleo ba
sir.
to?
Namaste.
Namaste. Yeah, can you read this please? Not by merely.
Haribol.
Haribol. Go ahead.
Not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. Purport. The renounced order of life can be accepted upon being purified by the discharge of prescribed form of duties which are laid down just to purify the heart of materialistic men. Without purification, one cannot attain success by abruptly adopting the fourth order of life, sannyasa. According to the empirical philosophers, simply by adopting sannyasa or retiring from creative activities, one at once becomes as good as Narayana. But Lord Krishna does not approve this principle. Without purification of heart, sannyasa is simply a disturbance to the social order. On the other hand, if someone takes to the transcendental service of the Lord, even without discharging his prescribed duties, whatever he may be able to advance in the cause is accepted by the Lord. Buddhi Yoga. Spalpam ape asya dharmasya trayati mahato bayat. Even a slight performance of such a principle enables one to overcome great difficulties. Okay
Thank
na,
you.
sir?
Yeah, okay na. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Cleo. Yeah. So here it is further explained, no? Not by simply abstaining from work that you can become perfect in your spiritual life. Abstaining from work means that you don't engage in material activities anymore. You abstain from engaging in material activities because this is the sum and substance of the philosophy of most impersonalists. Most impersonalists are like this. They are afraid of engaging in activities because they are afraid of karma. They are afraid that they will come back here again in the world, and that they could not achieve perfection in spiritual life if they engage in mundane activities. Ganyan, no? So ito yung sinasabi ni Krishna rito. It doesn't mean just because you have abstained from working that you can be that can purify oneself. No, we are in the material world. Let's face it. We are in the material world, and Maya is very strong. The impersonalists also they also understand the power of Maya. They understand that, but they do not understand how powerful she is. She is really powerful. You know, you try to uh, you try to defeat her, the more she becomes powerful. Yun si Maya. So it is actually uh, advised that um, we should not try to defeat Maya using our limited and imperfect senses and mind. Kasi it's going to be a useless waste of time. Because what happens is that you actually end up engaging in bhukti-mukti. Yung in-engage sila, mukti yun eh. They try to save themselves. They try to make it so that they become cleansed and purified by their meditations and stuff. And, so that they can achieve sarupya or liberation. But as we know it, mukti is not the answer. That is not approved by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Mukti, sense enjoyment, bhukti, and mukti means liberation or salvationism. this is not what is recommended by Krishna. What is recommended by Krishna is bhakti, devotional service to Krishna. That is what Krishna recommends. Because in devotional service, the central enjoying figure is Krishna. It's not you. While you engage in bhakti mukti, who is the central enjoying figure? It is oneself. It is you. Yeah. I don't want to engage in this activity because I don't want to burn in hell. So, like you pray you go to the church or you go to the temple and you try to ask for some blessings from God. Lord, I don't want to burn in hell. So please, I want to be in heaven after I die. Yeah. So who is the central enjoying figure here? Is it God or you? It is still you, right? So that is not recommended by Krishna. What is recommended by Krishna is Buddha Yoga or Krishna consciousness. Why? Because the central enjoying agent is Krishna. You're merely trying to serve Krishna with all your efforts, with all your mind and senses. You always try to um, do the best you can uh, to please Krishna. That is bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga. It's not you anymore. That is the center of attraction there, no? The central enjoying agent. You are the central enjoying agent in bhakti and mukti. So, not by merely restraining from work can you achieve liberation or sarupya. Because refraining from work, it doesn't guarantee you that you can become purified. What can purify a person is really the holy names. The holy names is not only pure, but it is all purifying. That's why when you engage in devotional service, slowly your heart becomes cleansed. No, it automatically becomes cleansed. The more attracted you are to Krishna, the less attractive material sensual pleasure becomes. Ganun po yun. Ganun ang science. No? That is the science of devotional service. So, you get purified. How to get purified? Hindi yung you go to a certain secluded place and try to, like, uh, uh, superficially try to stop the senses, which you cannot. You cannot stop the senses. You cannot stop the mind because the mind is ever flowing. It is ever flowing. What you can do with the mind is to simply redirect it, refocus it. Yun lang yun. Yun lang pwede natin gawin. And that is also recommended by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Instead of working for your own sensual interest, you now work for the interest of Krishna's pleasure. Okay? So, next reader. Uh, Sino pa ba hindi nakakabasa? Wala na. What about, Sharni? Sharni, are you there?
Haribol, sir. Yes, sir. Haribol.
Haribo. Go ahead, Sharni.
All men are forced to act helplessly according to the impulses born of the moods of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. Purport. It is not a question of embodied life, but it is the nature of the soul to be always active. Without the presence of the spirit soul, the material body cannot move. The body is only a dead vehicle to be worked by the spirit soul, which is always active and cannot stop even for a moment. As such, the spirit soul has to be engaged in the good work of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it will be engaged in occupations dictated by illusory energy. In contact with material energy, the spirit soul acquires material modes, and to purify the soul from such affinities, it is necessary to engage in the prescribed duties enjoined in the sastras. But if the soul is engaged in his natural function of Krishna consciousness, whatever he is able to do is good for him. The Srimad Bhagavatam affirms this. If someone takes to Krishna consciousness, even though he may not follow the prescribed duties in the sastras nor execute the devotional service properly, and even though he may fall down from the standard, there is no loss or evil for him. But if he carries out of all the injunctions for purification in the sastras, what does it avail him if not Krishna conscious? So, the purificatory process is necessary for reaching this point of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, sannyas or any purificatory process is to help reach the ultimate goal of becoming Krishna conscious, without which everything is considered a failure. Haribol Namaste po.
Haribol, thank you. Thank you very much, Sharni. So it is very, very clear here, no? Very clear. This will only be unclear if you have a mind of an impersonalist. If you have a mind of a Mayavadi impersonalist, then this will not be clear to you. You know, because they totally reject the personality of Krishna, the personality of the absolute truth. They only accept his impersonal feature and totally reject the source of that impersonal feature. They totally reject that. So how can they have what? How can they define love and devotion? Love and devotion to whom? To a light, to an ocean of energy? How can you love some? Love pertains to two individuals or more, right? Yun ang love eh. So for them to even be speaking about love for the supreme or love for the absolute, they have to accept that the absolute is a person. Once they reject the absolute, that the absolute is a person, then that is a useless waste of time. Because how can you love and how can you execute devotion to somebody that is not a person? It is only possible when you have somebody else other than you. And the impersonalist philosophy dictates that there is no other person other than you. That you are the entire, the entire energy. You are the entire energy. Walang iba. There is no other selves other than you. So how can you develop such love and devotion? It's not possible. That's why here, very clear in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna states that, without this loving propensity that is embedded in our hearts and in our minds uh, since time immemorial, once that is not satisfied, yeah, uh, it becomes a useless waste of time. That activity becomes a useless waste of time. Very clearly stated by Krishna here in the Bhagavad Gita, you know, that renunciation, renunciation means you renounce the material activity. You renounce the perception that you are the enjoyer, and you're the source of you're the source of happiness. You renounce that because that is not a fact. That is foolishness to even think that you are the source of pleasure or the source of happiness. And this is exactly what the most impersonalists think, that they are the source of pleasure. That they have now become God because they have realized Brahman. They are Brahmana realized, etc. Like this. No, although it is considered to be the lowest type of God realization, Brahman realization is considered to be the lowest type of God realization because it is a realization also. That is also a spiritual realization because, a person fully understands that he is Aham Brahmasmi, that he is full spirit. It's made of spiritual energy, not matter. So in that sense, tama sila dun. Tama sila dun. But the problem is that they cannot move on from that stage of realization of Aham Brahmasmi. They cannot move on because they think that as the all and be all of everything. So it is considered to be the lowest type of God realization. Kung alam mo you're a spiritual being, you must understand that being a spiritual being, there is what is known as the Paramatma, Param Brahman, the Supreme Soul. So, although you understand that you are a soul, but within this Brahman, there is a Supreme Brahman, and that is Krishna. That is the impersonal feature of Krishna. It is Krishna in his impersonal feature. And you will be able to actually understand that if I am not the supreme enjoyer, the supreme cause of all causes, and I am just merely a part and parcel, dominated part and parcel of Krishna, my natural function is to be engaged in the loving service of Krishna. That should be this is going to be my work. This is going to be my function in life in order for me to become fully satisfied and fulfilled in life and fully contented. I must engage myself in my natural condition, my natural function of being a servant of Krishna. Once you do that, that is the perfection of human life. That is the perfection of spiritual life. Actually, very simple lang eh. Srila Prabhupada has trained us to understand this very simple fact. And you can actually go to any place, any speaking engagement. If you have this wisdom, yeah, you can face practically anyone na nagpapanggap na religious sila, nagpapanggap na they're sannyas or nagpapanggap na Brahman sila or some, you don't fear anyone because you know that the supreme absolute truth is Krishna and that he is the supreme controller, that he is the supreme enjoyer. Siya yung siya yung cause of all causes. So what can be their fear for anyone? You totally understand that you are not the body. Let them get your body if they want to, but you're not afraid to lose your body. You value your body because you are able to use that in Krishna consciousness. You're able to use that in the service of Krishna. But if some people, by their, what you call this, they become very critical towards a devotee of Krishna. Yeah, they become so envious of a devotee of Krishna that they try to stop you by probably killing your body, etc. The devotee does not fear anything, does not fear anybody, you know, because you can get my body, but that's not me. I can always transfer to another body. Yeah. Will you be able to follow me there? And you have firm faith that Krishna always, always guides you, always protects you. That is the beauty if you're a devotee of Krishna. Ano ka, you're steadfast in your devotion to him. Hmm? That's why it is called the ultimate um, uh, spiritual enlightenment is to be able to understand, is to be able to understand your essence, position, and function in life. Okay? So, hanggang dito na lamang po tayo. We're already finished with our 1 hour. If you have any questions, please, you may ask. Walang question? Sharni, would you like to do the kirtan, Sharni?
Haribol, sir. Yes po, sir.
Haribol.
Just
Try not to get worried. Try not to turn on to problems that upset you. Oh, don't you know everything's all right? Yes, everything's fine. Close your eyes. Close your eyes.
okay lang, sir, ang sounds.
Yes, very, very clear. Very clear.
Haribol. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shivati Siddha Svarupananda Paramahamsa Itinamine Namaskara Bhutananda Paramahamsa
Haribol, namaste. Thank you very much for the wonderful exit kirtan. Sharni, maraming salamat. And Isaac and family, Cleo and Krishnadasi, for the entry kirtan. Maraming salamat sa inyo. I'd like to thank Janner, Mina, and Kalkidas for your assistance and being my co-host. Maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat, sir. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Haribol. Yeah, also I would like to thank all the readers, no? Lahat ng readers natin for this morning. Thank you very much for your service. Yeah, and yeah, have a great day ahead of you or night ahead of you. Thank you very much, Mr. Praveen Ambardekar.
Maraming salamat po.
Walang anuman. Thank you, Namayu. Namayu. Haribol. Elinet, maraming salamat.
Haribol, sir. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Namayu. Elinet, thank you very much for coming.
Po, thank you rin po. Namaste.
Jai Krishna. Christian Makilan, maraming salamat. Okay? So, have a great day ahead of you or night ahead of you. I'll see you tomorrow during our question and answer. Okay, at 9 o'clock in the morning. Haribol Sharni.
Haribol. Yes, sir. I'll just post it, sir, on Q&A class.
Yes, please post it, Sharni, huh?
Thank you. Thank you very much po. Haribol,
Thank you
everyone.
Jaya Krishna. Jaya Nitai Gaur. Haribol. So, where are we? Ako na ba ulit ang ano? No. Ito? Here.